To describe the characteristics of an individual, there are something like 10,000 different terms we can use to describe different personality traits. Outgoing, lazy, party animal, ambitious. We could brainstorm thousands of them, literally. Now, you can't apply these to babies. Think about that 1-week-old in the first video. How do we know if he's lazy? How do we know if he's outgoing or a party animal? All he does is pretty much lay there, sleep, eat, and cry a little bit. So can we characterize individual differences amongst babies? Well, ask any parent of more than one child and they'll say, oh yeah, they were completely different from the time they were born. We can evaluate babies' temperament as a way to characterize their individual differences. So temperament is personality really, but when we talk about personality in adults, we have all these many complex terms to describe it. But with babies, what you find is that you can really only capture their individual differences on 3 dimensions. Their biological regularity, their general hedonic tone, and their responses to novelty. In terms of biological regularity, we know that some babies sleep regularly, eat regularly, and poo regularly. You can pretty much set your watch by them. Lucky parents who have this baby. They know exactly what to expect. On the other hand, some babies are highly irregular. You can also characterize babies' individual differences in terms of their general hedonic tone. Hedonic tone refers to kind of their state of being. Some babies are happy. They rarely cry. They wake up and they're just laying in their cot smiling. Other babies wake up and the first thing they do is scream, and they're generally pretty grumbly babies. So hedonic tone is another dimension in which individual babies differ. And then finally, they differ in terms of their response to novelty. If you present an infant with, say, a new toy, you'll find that there's a range of responses from very interested, very positive, all the way to very negative, avoidant, upset, overstimulated. And in the middle is a slower response. When we think about temperament, we can reduce it down to 3 different types of babies. And these types have been validated repeatedly across studies in different countries, different samples over time. It's really quite a reliable categorization scheme. The research looking into temperament in babies shows that a lot of babies, about 40%, are what we call easy. They're biologically regular, they're generally very happy, and they have a positive response to novelty. These babies are good fun, and their parents are well rested and enjoying themselves. A small proportion of babies are difficult. These are characterized by being biologically irregular. They tend to be pretty unhappy, and they have a negative response to novelty. Sometimes we call these colicky. And another small portion of babies are considered slow to warm up. Now they're in between the other two in terms of their biological regularity and their hedonic tone. What really characterizes them is their response to novelty, which is slow to warm up. At first they don't like anything new, but then eventually they come around. It's incredible how easy it is to classify babies according to these temperament categories. But of course the important question is, if these categories are applied in infancy, what does it mean for later life? If you're an easy baby, are you going to grow up to be a happy-go-lucky, freewheeling, extroverted, fun person, or not? Is there any kind of continuity? There's a whole bunch of studies around the world looking at just this. One of the largest is down in Victoria, out of the Australian Institute for Family Studies. It's known as the Australian Temperament Project. All of their research output is on the web if you're interested. They started testing children in the 1980s, and now those children are in their 30s, and they've been following them all the way from birth. What they find is that on some dimensions, there's good continuity between temperament and later personality. The main finding of all these studies is that in general, the correlation between temperament as a baby and personality as an adulthood, however, isn't really that great. It's around about 0.3 if you look across all of the babies classified according to temperament and then some sort of adult personality inventory. It's really not a very strong correlation, except at the extremes. So when you have a super duper easy baby, he's very likely to grow up to be that happy-go-lucky, extroverted individual. If you have a super duper difficult baby, he's very likely to grow up to be someone who's anxious and prone to negativity. But in the middle, there's a whole lot of swapping around. And that probably has to do with an interaction of nature and nurture. Temperament is certainly our nature, but so many things can affect it over time.